Today's episode is brought to you by RLA Polymers and Gripset. For peace of mind when waterproofing, trust Gripset's 38FC, the king of membranes. 38FC has been the industry benchmark for years and is rigorously tested internally and through certified NADA laboratories, giving you verified peace of mind. Developed alongside contractors, 38FC has confirmed coverage of 10 square metres per pale and adheres to AS 4858 and AS 4654 compliance. With a quick 1 hour recode time, you can get the job done in record speed without compromising on quality. Don't fall for the copycat products. Trust Gripset's 38FC, the king of membranes. Hey everybody, Mark here from Tiling Connect. Welcome back to the program. Really excited today to change gears a little bit with the guest that we've got on, and I'm so glad that she said yes to coming on Tiling Connect because we're delving into the world of brick and block laying, and I'll explain a little bit more in a minute, but first of all, welcome Joanna Cassidy from Cassidy Brick and Block Laying Pty Ltd. Hopefully I have said that right.
Pretty much, just Cassidys.
Cassidys.
But yes, thank you. Thank you, Mark, for having me on the pod today.
Yeah, very welcome. And look, I just a bit of background on why we're chatting today, because probably everyone in the community is going, well, Mark, what are you doing here? You're going into waterproofing, you're going into brick and block laying, you're going into sealing and caulking. Where are you going with your guests? And I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, right? And I'm always looking for people that have got really awesome stories. And, and sometimes people that don't have really awesome stories, but we need to tell their story. And I just happened to, what caught my eye was your remark on one of the posts that you wrote recently, which was, I don't need permission to be here. And I was like, I need to be talking to that girl because she's clearly got something to say. And I know when I started looking through your bio and all the stuff that you were doing and the posts that you had done, I thought you're pretty cool and I want to know more. So hence we're here today to chat about you and so this is what today's episode is going to be about. And yeah, so look, I'm going to turn off my voice for a second and I'm now going to hand it over to you. But Joanna, give us a background on you and where it started and how you got into block laying, and yeah, let's go.
All right. So I actually went to university. I ended up doing 2 degrees, completely different fields. I did a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Health. And then I went back to uni and did a Bachelor of Criminology and Criminal Justice. Then worked in compliance for about 12 years. Really enjoyed the work that I was doing, and it wasn't until I met my husband, Josh, that he used to come home every day and just literally talk my ear off about brick and block laying. And over the years, I sort of got a little bit inquisitive, and I said, look, do you know if any women do your trade? And he said no, obviously, which then just sparked like the cog for me. Really got me thinking about different options, different work, all the different possibilities that is basically out there. I then actually, funnily enough, we were building a retaining wall out the front of our house, and he asked if I'd like to have a turn and try laying a block. And I was very, very nervous at the same time, but I gave it a crack. I had no idea what I was doing. The block was really super heavy. The trowel felt really awkward in my hand, but I gave it my best shot and laid a pretty good block. Basically after that, we had like further discussions, and I really enjoyed it. Like, it was very tough and very physical because I'd never, actually done a physical like job before, but it just stuck with me. And I thought, why not? Why not break that barrier a little bit and actually see if I could get an apprenticeship in bricklaying and blocklaying. And it was about that time where I reached out to a few employers and said, look, I'm really interested. I got met with a lot of resistance saying, we're not hiring at the moment, we're not interested. And then obviously landed an apprenticeship with a specific company. And yeah, basically towards the tail end of it, we had certain discussions, me and my husband, And we sort of went, you know what? It'd be great to actually take all the things that we dislike about our trade and turn it into a positive and create change in our industry, because there's a lot of certain traits in the industry that could be better, basically.
Mhm.
So we had lengthy discussions about it. I ended up finishing my trade and we sort of went, yep, let's do it. And now we're here.
Wow. And now you're
Yeah.
here today. So how many
Yeah.
years now have you been on the tools?
So about 3 years now. I did actually fast track my apprenticeship,
Oh,
and I
beautiful.
just, yeah, definitely wanted to get that experience under my belt, and now we're here. So yeah,
Nice. Nice.
yeah.
And did you have to do some of your trade through any of the TAFEs? Was that part of any of it?
Yeah, so I ended up going to Caboolture TAFE as well as
Oh,
Acacia Ridge
nice.
TAFE. And
Yep.
towards the tail end of the apprenticeship, just fast tracked it. It was basically myself and my employer at the time decided it was the best route. And yeah, ended up finishing it. It was actually quite funny because I ended up doing a fourth year module in my second year,
Mm.
and there was a lot of stigma surrounding it. A lot of, yeah, sort of negative feedback, and a lot of people didn't think that I'd actually be able to finish the module, and ended up proving a lot of them wrong. So that was probably the pinnacle to the apprenticeship, actually giving a fourth year module a go and being able to complete it and see the other side of it. So
Good on you. If I could high
thank you.
five you right now, I would, but I'm not there. But yeah, virtual high five.
Virtual high
Um,
five.
I have a finer appreciation for brick and block laying, and I was fortunate enough last year to be asked to be a judge for World Skills in Brisbane, because
Nice.
the World Skills competition was held in Brisbane last year. So
Yeah.
myself and four other um, TAFE teachers were from around the country in Australia, were the judges for the tiling and waterproofing part of the competition. And throughout the different parts of the day, I had a bit of free time in between judging, and I was able to go and have a look around at the different stands where there was the plumbing and the electrical and the hairdressing and the hospitality and the phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal event. So I highly recommend, if anyone's listening to this, go and check it out. And the brick and block laying competition was like mind blowing, like absolutely mind blowing. The things that they were building, the craftsmanship behind actually cutting the bricks and the formation behind putting them, because they obviously had designs that they had to do. It was just incredible, and it's the sort of thing that you don't see when someone says to you, "Oh, I'm laying bricks or blocks." You know, people just think, "Oh, okay, well, you're just putting up a wall." Well, and that's the first
Yeah.
thing that came to my mind, but there's a lot more to it. It's like most trades. There's a lot of intricacies to making it look and work effectively.
Definitely, definitely. There's so much to learn in our trade. Like a lot of people just think it's very straightforward, but it really isn't. Like there are simple, tasks, but
Yeah,
it can get very technical, especially when you're doing curved work and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, wow. Well,
Yeah.
um, talking about today, you now Cassidy's Brick and Block Laying is the business that you've got with the hubby.
Yes.
Um, and how did that so you that's launched? How old is that now?
I think we kicked it off in January last year, so well
Yep.
before I finished my apprenticeship. But we launched in December, and we're already working on quite a big multi-residential project at the moment, and it's going really well. We're just a small team of four at the moment. We've got another starting tomorrow, so things
Oh,
are getting busy. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's great to hear.
yeah,
And
thank
getting
you.
cutting your teeth on some jobs and getting ready for all of the future pipeline of work that I think is on everyone's doorstep come preparation for the Olympics in 2032. So
Definitely.
great time to be in construction, great time to pick up a trade, and excellent time to form a business and launch it off the ground.
Yeah, I think so as well. We were both looking at each other the other day and we're like, it's finally here because we've been speaking about it for quite a while. So it's nice to actually have the vision come to life and sort of get on with it. So it's good. It's
Awesome.
really good. It's
Well,
been enjoyable.
that's
Yeah.
excellent to hear. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about sort of, the dynamics of the how it all works in relationships and business. And there's a whole matrix of things that you have to work through, good, bad, and indifferent. That's just the nature
Yes.
of life. How do you guys divide responsibilities in your business, and how do your strengths complement, each other on and off the site?
Yeah, so Josh is more just a site flow, productivity, scheduling, whereas my strengths are more workplace health and safety compliance and, just team morale as well. Like we both collaborate together quite well at the moment to, get our team quite positive. We found that, because he worked for a previous employer as well as myself, there's a lot of negativity within some teams. So we're trying to break the barrier with that as well because there's a lot of mental health issues in construction in general. So we'd love to just incorporate a really happy, healthy team. So I think we do that really well at the moment. Like all our employees are really quite happy with how we're all progressing. We all seem to get along really well, which is great. So just that inclusivity, like we really want to hit that on the head, and just make sure that everyone that we employ actually feels like they're part of a team. So similar to like a family values thing as well, because we have a big blended
Hmm.
family of 5 kids ourselves. So I think
Wow.
we work really well to incorporate a lot of that into our team.
Hmm.
But yeah, Josh is definitely the knowledge and wisdom behind the company, and I'm more the compliance side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. And yeah, look, I can, sorry, certainly in my career, mental health over the years has certainly become a more talked about topic amongst, different trades in construction. There's still a long way to go. Certainly, there's
Yeah.
still um, a lot of people are still very reluctant to have those conversations, and we're seeing these amazing foundations form like TAX, and the boys are doing a fantastic job. Obviously, they've built a business that literally is there to, offer free mental health services to anybody that is struggling and needs some help and just wants to have a chat. But certainly, I think employers and people that have businesses, taking that responsibility on to ensure that there's open wavelengths of communication, so people can feel like they can talk without being criticised or objectified. That, hey, don't talk about that. We're wearing, a construction shirt. We shouldn't be having those conversations. It's great that you're doing that, and encouraging that communication to help people through some tough times if they're experiencing it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's also, from the apprenticeship itself, just finding things that, had a little bit of a flaw and taking the good and bringing it into our company to then do better as well.
Yeah.
So it's been a really good experience in that sense. So even though there's been negatives, there's also been positives because then we can sort of change the industry, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, look, I know we've already sort of touched on it a little bit. You've transitioned from a sort of a corporate type environment, to working in trade and construction, which is a big shift. Were there any particular big mindset shifts that you had to, whether you experienced along the way that you had to overcome? That got you where you are now.
Yeah, so I guess confidence at the start was really quite not there. It actually took quite a long time, probably more time than what I thought it would to actually get to where I am now, just in just general confidence in the trade, confidence as being a tradeswoman, having that qualification behind me, knowing that I can do the job and that I deserve the space. I think that's been a really big barrier to overcome just from the negative stigma. And it's also, I guess, as well, there's been quite a few people along the way that actually showed me a lot of really good techniques without having ego at play, which actually really helped. So I now take that on board, and it sort of changes my mindset. Even though there's been, not ideal situations that have occurred during the apprenticeship, it's like, okay, I'm at the other side of it now, and I can utilize that and actually make it more of a positive outcome. So I think, yeah, confidence in myself was drastically low to begin with, but
Yeah.
there's been a big shift with that. So I think that's probably one of the biggest barriers I had to overcome.
And
Yeah.
that's remarkable that you've done that too in such a short period of time, because confidence normally comes with years and years and years of experience, right? Not only are you
Yeah.
faced with a short span of experience in the industry compared to other people, I'm not saying it's not significant,
Yeah.
but it's compared to someone that's, say, been in the game for 10, 15 years or 20 years or 25 years. But then you've had to so you've had to work on that confidence, and with a very short period of time, like a very limited amount of experience. So it's a pretty enormous jump to do that, and to get where you are, and look behind you and go, wow, I've done that in like 3, 4 years or 5 years, compared to what other people have had to endure in terms of experience to get where they are and learn the trade. So good on you. That's really awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think if you've got the mindset that you really want to do something and you're passionate about it, I think you can overcome any obstacle. I think
Mm,
obstacles are just like a bit of an illusion sometimes, and we doubt
yeah,
ourselves a bit more than what we should. So, yeah, come a long way.
absolutely. Yeah, good on you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, look, talking about gender-based stereotypes, which happens, right? We can't avoid it these days. It's definitely way more prominent today than what it ever has been before, because we have the luxury and the benefit of having social media, and
Yeah.
everyone's so more connected, and you can't escape topics, you can't escape conversations, you can't escape the reality of what's happening in life unless you don't have any of those platforms on your phone. But certainly, I'm sure that you've experienced some challenges on job sites. So, how do you navigate that, or how have you navigated that to get through to the positive side when something like that happens?
Oh, the whole apprenticeship. It was really quite tough. There's a lot of positives, but a lot of negatives as well. Just again, the stigma of being a female on site, lots of negative talk around the subject, around me in particular, not, having a job at the end, or, just being judged and judged too harshly, and everything I do is sort of double looked at, so to speak. And I think that was really quite hard. But I also think that even with that mindset, you can always change it and sort of go, okay, what can I do personally that's just going to let me continue without getting the negative self-talk in my head? And I think also just actually being able to do the job and gaining that confidence and going, I've learned a new skill today. I'm going to keep going, even though it drives people mad because I can do it. I'm going to continue learning. And what if, like, say, for example, if you're picking up something with a shovel, like there's a bit of dirt on the ground or something, um, just knowing that there is a specific technique to doing that without hurting yourself, and then mastering that and actually getting better over time. And I think that confidence again is awesome, because once you do something and that repetition, you get better at it as you go. And I think that also kind of, yeah, just inspires you to do better and get better at your trade and learn new things and feel what your body's doing at the same time. So, yeah.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. Well, look, from your perspective, and this is sort of how a sort of culture on construction sites have changed over the years. We've seen ebbs and flows, and in like every industry, like when we talk about diversity, inclusion, respecting your teammates and your workers and things like that. What changes do you still want to see come in the future to help embody all of those sort of areas?
Well, I think just inclusivity in general, having, a dynamic team that is gender inclusive, it doesn't matter who you are. If you can do the job, then that's fantastic. I think we have a lot of stigma still surrounding, people who identify with other genders and things like that. So I think just having that mindset of if you want to be in this space, you can definitely make it happen. I think that's a really positive, way to think about things. But I also, yeah, I think people just need to give it a go. If they're scared about changing into this industry, I think they should definitely give it a crack, especially if it's something that really like they're passionate about. But I definitely want just more inclusivity in general and just more family friendly employers as well. Because I found that during the apprenticeship, it was sort of frowned upon because obviously being a mum with kids, a lot of people, sort of didn't really agree with me being in the construction space. So that was a little bit challenging as well. But I think if construction in general had a little bit of movement in terms of, family flexibility with their hours, that would be great. Like we are at the moment doing quite a family inclusive sort of scheme. So basically, there's a few employees that we have that, have kids. So we're sort of like, okay, your kid's sick. That's completely fine. Like, just let us know. If you know in advance, sometimes things happen and there's no ramifications if they're calling in sick because their child, is unwell or something like that. So I think having that in general is actually quite important. Because as we all know, construction is quite, brutal in that sense. Like you have to come to work and do the job, and there's no real, flexibility. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
put on a
just I
brave
think,
face. Just ignore the fact that you're sick and you're half dying. Come to work still. You'll be
yeah,
fine.
yeah, basically. Yeah, yeah, get
Yeah,
over it. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, man up.
Yeah. Pardon the pun. Teaspoon of concrete. Move on. Um,
Yes,
but
yes,
yeah,
basically. Yeah,
it does shock me a little bit though, and whether people frown upon what I'm about to say, but it still does shock me that that still exists in 2026, and it has so even for the last sort of 5 or so years. We're in a very
yeah,
modern world with a lot of technological advances in all different fields, and we've still got people behaving in that manner with those mannerisms at play, and
yeah,
it's sad, right? Because everyone deserves an opportunity, and
yeah,
we should be kinder to each other, and there is
yeah,
still a long way to go in construction in terms of bridging that gap in some trades and some businesses. So, yeah,
yeah.
we can only keep having these conversations so that people are aware that we want things to change. We want things to be the way that you've described them today. A quick word from our sponsor. Partner with Gripset and become one of Australia's leading waterproofers. Waterproofing is one of the most in-demand trades. With Gripset's accredited practitioner program, GAP, you'll be trained and certified in just 3 days. Backed by Australia's leading waterproofing supplies manufacturer and run by trainers with over 20 years of experience within the industry, GAP gives you a wealth of knowledge. Learn how to identify and prevent dampness and water damage in both residential and commercial structures by exploring the current Australian waterproofing standards, correct preparation of substrates for waterproofing, and how to apply both sheet and liquid membranes with a particular focus on the trickier areas such as joints and penetrations. Upon completion, you will be a fully accredited GAP applicator and will be able to access exclusive benefits and free business advertising to expand your clientele. Spots are filling up fast. Upskill today. Visit gripset.com/gap. That's gripset.com/gap, where great applicators get even better.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's a lot that can be changed, and I think, yeah, if at least one person can start the change, then there'll be a knock-on effect as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Hopefully.
Well, yeah, hopefully. Well, hope is it's it's the one of the key ingredients that we need, right, to make change.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
let's talk about family and work balance, because that's really important. When you talk about balancing your family life, running high demand trade business, it can be tough, right? How do you manage the balance, and what advice do you have for other couples in the industry or individuals?
Communication, communication, communication. Communication is key. I guess never let a problem become a problem without addressing it. That's sort of our motto anyway. We always communicate with each other on site and off site. But we just make sure that we have open lines of communication with our kids, with ourselves. Often our kids will come up to us and say, Mum or Dad, can you come and play with me? And sometimes you just have to. You just have to literally go, okay, I'm going to put this on hold. It's really important, but I need, they need that time. We also try to get out as much as possible on the weekends, even with competing demands with work and all the emails and correspondence. But we generally get out of the house every weekend. It's sort of our number one goal, to get out, get down to the beach, go camping, just spend that quality one-on-one time without our phones. I think that's been really important for our kids. They've actually thrived quite a lot just doing that. Because a lot of the times, just with the conflicting demands, every week is so different and it's ebbs and flows as well. But we definitely find that their behavior is great, when we give them that quality time. And I think it's really important to have that. And then also when you come back from, a long day on the tools, to actually just leave work at work. I think it's pretty important to just switch it off and go, okay, we're going to deal with this tomorrow. This is our time now. And, we have family meals at the dinner table and no phones allowed. And I know it sounds a little bit corny, but sometimes you've just got to, leave it alone and go, okay, tomorrow's a new day. We can tackle that issue or whatever it is tomorrow. There's
Yeah.
always tomorrow for now.
Absolutely. And look, it doesn't sound corny having time away from the phone. I wish that I could spend more time away from the phone, but when you have podcasts and social media businesses and things going on, it's a little bit difficult to pull yourself away. However, it's important to have that away time, particularly for kids. I'm seeing that at the moment in the relationship that I'm in, and it's important to make sure that they're not getting caught up in playing video games 24/7 inside and outside of school, because it's destructive, because they think that that's part of how life is, but it really isn't at the moment. It might be in the future, but you've got to build some foundations around other interests, because you need to have a biodiverse mindset to be able to think about what you want to get out of life. And
definitely.
That young stage in life is that nurturing part of them developing that curiosity about things.
Yeah. Well, ours is so dynamic. So we've got the youngest one at 4 and the eldest one is 12. So they're all at different levels of life. My eldest is at high school this year and, obviously navigating high school as his first experience. So it's all so different. But they all individually need that little bit of time from you just to check in, make sure everything's all good, that you're still there, you still listen. And I think that's really important, just giving them some time as well. But yeah.
Yeah, wow. That's awesome.
It's been difficult, but it's definitely rewarding. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, look, let's talk about mentorship, support. Give me an idea. I mean, who were some mentors or support figures that helped you thrive, especially stepping into a traditional sort of male trade space? How do you pay that forward for others?
Yeah, so during my apprenticeship, I was with Busy Sisters. So they're a part of Busy at Work. I had a mentor from there, and she'd check in with me, pretty frequently, just check in, see how I was going with everything, if I had any concerns. And she was great, absolutely great. And then I also got onto, I think it was called the Emerging Women in Construction program with Master Builders. And that actually led us to then getting membership with Master Builders. So in that regard. But they also offered mentorship. So that was really, really beneficial. Just again, with the mental health stuff, on some days that were a little bit hard, it was always nice to just check in for, a completely external person to go, yeah, I had a pretty crappy day. But it was nice just to have, a little bit more support. And I think that's really, really important.
Mm.
And yeah, when we eventually get to training apprentices as well through our company, we'd definitely be going through like Busy Sisters or, other parties that may offer those services. So yeah, we'll
Yeah,
see how we
awesome.
go.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, my young boy, he's 18 and he finished school in grade 10, and then he
Yeah.
went straight into busy at work. So he was down at Logan Home and did his plumbing apprenticeship. So he's now in the workforce, and he's now a second year apprentice in plumbing. And
Oh,
it was an absolutely amazing place, and that he went to, and the system and the way that they support people in getting their apprenticeship quicker. It's amazing. It was a really excellent thing for him, and yeah. If anyone's listening to the episode today, definitely go and check it out. Particularly for your kids, if you're thinking that the school system isn't quite right for them post grade 10, it's definitely an opportunity for them to step into a different pathway. Yeah.
and I think it's great because we have so many opportunities these days. Like when I was a kid growing up, I really had not many options apart from university. So the fact that, a lot of school kids now, they can literally do any kind of trade, like I think that's fantastic. It
Yeah,
just opens
absolutely.
opens up the different avenues, doesn't it? It's really
Mm.
cool.
Yeah, it is very cool. I wish, part of me wishes that, I could time travel back to when I was in high
Yeah.
school, because I want knowing what I know today, I 100% would have finished in grade 10 and done,
Yeah.
and I would have done a trade of some description.
Yeah.
And I should say tiling, because that's my podcast. And maybe that's probably what it would have been. And even if I didn't practice it for once I had become fully qualified, definitely having a trade behind you is a very excellent skill to learn, and it teaches you a lot of different things about leadership, and obviously being skillful with your hands. But there's a whole bunch of other things about how to actually do things in life that it sort of bestows upon you when you're learning how to work with product. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, definitely. It builds your resilience as well.
100% it
Yeah.
builds resilience. Yes.
Yeah.
So does having
Yeah.
health problems, but we won't talk about that today. Uh,
Yes.
I've had my fair share of torn meniscus last year, and then other things, and I'm
Oh,
like, oh my god, it's one thing after the other, and you're like, oh yeah. So when you go to the gym and you do a lot of working out, the risk obviously is that you're going to damage your body at some point, but no one tells you about, oh well, if you just tear that, we'll put it back together, but then they don't tell you about the recovery period, and you're like, oh my god, when is it going to
how
end?
long is this gonna? Yeah.
Yeah, I just need it to be
Yeah.
over. Um,
Yeah.
anyway,
Oh.
let's talk about leadership. Your company emphasizes, things like, I'm assuming that they emphasize things like safety and respect and workforce development, which you've touched on today. How do you cultivate site culture that supports apprentices, women, and new entrants?
Well, we both came from a tier one background in construction, so quite up there. And there
Yep.
was a lot of things that we saw that we didn't like, but obviously, in this day and age, sometimes it's best to just like whoop. So we've basically taken the real positive things and transitioned them into our company. And we've also taken some of the negative things and turned them into a positive for our company just because we want to change our trade.
Yep.
So things like, silica management systems, like we're utilizing slurry tub, for example, for our environmental waste. So we're recycling clean water that can be reused. We're capturing the slurry and basically being able to then pop it in a silica bag and then dispose of it into a silica bin. A lot of companies don't really do that. There's a lot of dumping of waste into the environment. There's a lot of really terrible things that happen, and obviously they do happen. But I think in general, just that inclusivity, never making someone feel like they can't talk. I think also is one of our main priorities is, we've got quite a small team, but everyone feels safe to actually vent, without feeling like they're going to get reprimanded or feel like they're going to get outcasted. Like if someone comes to work and they're really sore or something like that, we're 100% in and going, okay, today you're not mixing any mud. We'll get you to do something completely different. Like just completely setting the standard high and making sure that our employees' health is the number one. So, if they have to come in late for one day, it's again family friendly, just ensuring that that inclusivity and family focus is always there. And I think if any females want to get an apprenticeship, I hope they choose bricklaying, but I'd be more than happy to, have them on and in our team. Like we've got, sexual harassment prevention plans, we have sexual health policies, anti-discrimination policies, equal opportunity policies as well. Like we're very on the ball with that, and I made sure of it just because I wrote a lot of the policy documents after obviously 12 years in government and compliance and investigation, so legislation's my forte. But I think in general, just changing the industry altogether to actually make it a really happy culture. We don't have the bickering or the whinging or anything like that. Like everyone generally is really happy to be there and work alongside each other, and I think that's really rare.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping it continues, and I'm hoping it can grow and then basically spread, so other companies can then go, what are these guys doing differently? I want to have a team like that. And, what
Mm.
can they sort of do to change their team dynamic? And I think, it takes a little while to actually figure out what someone is like. But I think so far we've done really well to get, a small group together that, that we just gel. Like we're like a little family, and
Awesome.
it makes your heart warm. So it's quite nice. And,
Yeah.
that's the whole point, because we're at work for, 8 hours of every day, and you have to
Mm.
enjoy some aspects. I mean, the
Yeah.
trade is amazing, but, when you're working alongside people that value you and have respect for you, it's fantastic. It's actually a really healthy culture to have. So hoping
It's
it continues.
yeah, I'm confident it will, and it's sort of I'm sitting here thinking about the things that you're saying and listening to you simultaneously, and it's sort of like you were built for this job. You were built for where you are today. You've got all the background of working in compliance and in the other past roles, and it's sort of given you a lot of street cred and experience and being able to build the policies and documents around having that sort of inclusive work environment that encourages um, you know uh, you know. What's the word I'm looking for? The ability for anybody to pick up, the tools and be involved, and particularly, ladies and females that want to actually be involved in a company that welcomes you with open arms and says, "Come and work with us." Like,
Yeah.
regardless of your experience, we want to talk to you. We want to have a look at, what skills you've got and how they could be of value to our business, and how can we be of value to you in return.
Yeah, well, I think the main motto that I was thinking about it the other day, and it was people over profit.
Mm,
And a lot of people in the industry go into, like, we obviously work for money and stuff like that.
of
But
course, yeah.
I think if you treat others the way you want to be treated, it changes the whole structure completely. And I think it just makes people feel like they're really inclusive and they want to be there, and they'll actually perform quite well because they're in a happy space. Whereas I think if you sort of flip the situation, people are sort of coming to work and they're begrudgingly coming to work, and then less productive because they don't want to be there. So it's quite nice to have that option, if that makes sense, and be
Yeah.
like, no, we're going to change it completely. So
Yep.
it's quite nice. Yeah,
It's awesome.
baby steps.
And yes, absolutely baby steps, and that's okay. And
Yeah,
you're going in the right direction, which is brilliant.
yeah,
Well, look, let's just wrap up on these last couple of questions. I'm sure that there's going to be some people, or lots of people, tuning into this episode when it goes live, and I want to just touch on um, one thing, which is we talk about, you being a female bricklayer in the industry, and particularly being a leader in your space, or this is the first time that we're chatting, so I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you that position. Not that I need to give it to you. You've definitely earned it, but I'm just talking from a getting to know you perspective. um,
of
but
course.
what message would you give to women considering a trade career who might be hesitant because of the stereotypes?
Just do it. It is so worth it. It really is. And I think there's never a perfect time to change careers, to try something new. I think if you have a bit of a passion for something or something interests you, why not? Just give it a crack, and honestly, hopefully you'll never turn back. But yeah, if you don't actually do it, then you'll never know. So
Awesome
I
advice. Love
think,
it.
and at any age, I'm
Yeah.
middle aged, but it doesn't mean anything. I think
Yeah.
anyone of any age, any gender, if they want to do something, they should definitely give it a go and yeah, see where the road takes them. Yeah.
I love that. And when you said that, then I remember, because I'm a big fan of reading and consuming content and learning, and I have my entire life, and I'll continue to do that
Yeah.
until I eventually don't do work and I'm just driving around Australia in my four drive caravan, and parking every
Sounds lovely.
few hundred kilometers, exploring our backyard. And I remember the article that I read, or it was it was people that had started businesses throughout throughout their life, and the ages in which they started them. And the one that stood out to me was Colonel Sanders from Kentucky
Oh,
Fried Chicken. Now, Colonel Sanders, and everyone goes, "Oh, KFC, it's been around forever," and it has been around forever. I can't remember the year that it started. It was, I don't remember if it was the late 1800s or it was the early 1900s. But look, and I'm probably going to get that completely wrong. But what was most prominent was the age that he actually started it. He was 65 when
oh
he
wow.
founded and came up with the idea of having fried chicken, and it was purely just through the fact that he could never get decent fried chicken anywhere that he went where he lived. And
Wow.
how it's that's how it started. He was 65-year-old when he started that company. And look where it is today.
See, age is just a number.
100% it is. The body will feel it in different ways, but that mind over matter, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I think it's also like your form as well. So if you're taught correctly how to do certain activities, you're less likely to injure yourself in the long run as well.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
there's lots to play as well. But I think, yeah, anyone of any age, any gender can just do it.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty cool.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, look, let's finish on just this last question for today, Joanna, because you've been amazing, and thank you for sharing so much already. When we look ahead to the future, when we talk about what the vision is for Cassidys brick and block laying, in terms of setting new standards, diversity, quality, leadership in the construction industry, what is it for you guys?
Definitely value an inclusive team that basically does what they say, you know, ticks all the boxes and actually practically does yeah, all of them. So, when we say we're going to clean up, but also have that amazing team and get things done and make everyone happy, basically. Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. That's brilliant. Um, Look, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. If our community would love to reach out to you directly, and I'm sure there may be some young or even middle-aged or, more mature age people, male or female, want to have a chat to you, how do they connect in with Joanna and your business? Or your
So
co-founder business, I should say, sorry.
yeah, that's okay. So at the moment we've just got LinkedIn. So where I'm also personally on LinkedIn. So is my husband, Josh Cassidy, and then Cassidys Brick and Block Laying as well is on LinkedIn. We also have a company website, cassidysbrickandblocklaying.com.au. And yeah, that's all. We're pretty low key with the social media stuff, but
No,
we're at
that's
max the
okay.
most.
I'm a big fan of LinkedIn, and I think anybody that
Yeah.
isn't on LinkedIn building a brand should definitely be on there because it's certainly a excellent platform to do that. I will ensure that those details are in the show notes, as well as the fact that I'll need to connect him with Josh because I don't think that I am. And
Awesome.
yeah, reach out to Joanna via that platform or the website. So we'll get those details there. Again, thank you for being on the program. Until next time, stay connected, and thank you again for sharing what you have today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it as well.